So a friend recommended me to go try out this pyramid in a lake in Guatemala, and he sent me the website of it, and on the website it said about lucid dreaming, and I was like, what's lucid dreaming? I love dreams, because I was always trying to find out this reason why I quit my job the first time round to go travelling because of a dream, and now I'm being told about there's a pyramid that's going to explain to me about dreaming, about everything that led me to leave that first time round, right? So I didn't tell anyone at the beginning that I left because of a dream, because I was thinking if I tell people I left because I had a dream, people would think you're crazy, right?
Welcome to the Life After Sesh podcast. Stories from before, during, and after the sesh.
Okay, so the first time I encountered the sesh was when I was 15 years old. We was out with friends down the park and just started getting on drinking, and it was, for that age you only need about 3 or 4 drinks and then you're absolutely smashed, which was amazing, to be honest with you. But that led me on this path to drink, like the culture in the UK, to drink every single day, or every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and that led me down path of the sesh, should I say. So that was the first real encounter. I mean, that led on to then hitting up festivals and nightclubs, and that got more and more intense, which was adding more and more stimulants, like starting with alcohol and then moving on to cocaine, MDMA, ketamine. At first you think, I'll just try a little bit, and then more and more, and it just turns into more of a habit. And to the fact where nightclubs, festivals, it was it was fun at the time, for sure. So they say weed is the gateway drug, but for me it was definitely alcohol. So I started working in a bar at 18, and that was really the first legal drinks that I could have. And it just became this normal habit of finish work, have a drink, and then head out to the nightclubs after, Thursday, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, which was great fun. And then one day when I'm I was working in the bar, I was just quite happy working, going out clubbing, meeting friends, and had zero want to ever go travelling in my life. And then one day I went to sleep and I had this dream, and I was travelling through the jungle with friends for a train. And then when something had switched inside of my brain and my body, and when I woke up from this dream, I literally went downstairs to my mum and I said, I'm going travelling. And then 3 months later I quit my job as a manager of this bar, and I left to go to Australia and New Zealand, and this led me to Vegas. But when I arrived in Australia, that's when I really encountered the Australian way to drink. It's quite obviously a lot different to England. So I'm used to just living in a small town in Essex, and then never leaving Essex. Really small. I had a really small mindset and thinking just one way of thinking, and then arriving in Australia, the mind just completely expanded. First of all, you're meeting new people. I was first time in hostels. There was a lot of drinking and a lot of partying, because that's the only way that I really knew how to to communicate with people, or going out. I always felt I needed a drink, so I was always the partier of the group, So Australia it's such a different culture. The Australians are very much like us, so they drink as much, or if not more, than we do. So every party that you're at, there's always a lot of, when we was backpacking anyway, there was definitely a lot of goon, which is like wine, and a bag of wine. So always with a headache after that one as well.
What's it called? Goon?
It's called Goon, yeah.
Goon. What is Goon?
It's just a bag of wine. Just a bag of wine.
Is it a box of wine without the box?
Yeah, a box of wine without the box, yeah. And they end up blowing up the balloon. But once they've drunk the wine, you end up blowing the balloon up and you can sleep on the balloon. So it's, it's interesting culture out there. And that 5 years or 4 years, I think it was, living in Australia was really fun. Starting in Sydney and then managing bars there as well, once again, until I actually ended up working on a party boat in Airlie Beach in the Whitsundays. I thought I'd go and try something different. End up working on a party boat there, which was amazing. Being able to take people out to the Whitsundays, which is this amazing, beautiful beach, and then bring them back and have a party on the boat. It was amazing. I ended up meeting a really good friend there who told me to come down to Surfers Paradise, and that's where I ended up starting this sales job, selling nightclubs and bar crawls, and that was quite a different experience from what I've had. I was just used to speaking to people in bars and stuff, and now I'm selling nightclubs in Australia, standing on booths, inviting people out to party, and obviously then the urge to go out and party every night is there, and obviously you're getting free entry to nightclubs and bars and stuff. So a lot of really exciting and fun things were happening there, like parties in rooftops and stuff like that, which was fun. And then just a lot of drinking and a lot of drugs as well. And then one day I decided that I needed to make a switch,
What triggered that?
I was really, really fat at the time, I'd been drinking a lot, like I'd been putting on a lot of weight, and I hadn't really noticed it, Well, maybe I had subconsciously, but I was deep in cycles of going out, drinking, getting on gear, and then finishing the sesh, heading back home, smoking a joint, and then going to eat shit food, and that had just progressively accumulated over quite a few years, to be honest with you, to the point where I'd put on like 125 kilograms, or I was up to 105 kilograms, sorry. I was up to 105 kilograms, I was beer belly, like man boobs as well, and then my mate said to me in a picture, he was like, dude, you look terrible. And I was, that hurt a lot, for a friend to say like, you don't look good. And then one day, this just January, and the 2nd of January I had two big nights out after New Year's Eve, and then we went on a boat just to go fishing or see some whales, and I was just ridiculously sick, and I was like, I'm never doing this again. And I stopped drinking. I said I'm going to give myself 6 months to stop drinking, but mainly it was also not just alcohol, it was to change my diet as well. So I started a new way of eating. So instead of eating junk food and sugar and alcohol, obviously alcohol's got alcohol and spirits, and combining them with fizzy drinks, so you're obviously consuming a lot of calories, right? I remember drinking Guinness, and Guinness is like, what do they say? It's like a Sunday roast in a glass, don't they? So it's like 300.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard. That it's like 300 calories in each one, So when you're drinking a lot of beer, you're adding a lot of weight. So I cut all that out, cut out excess sugar, and started exercising. And within 6 months, I managed to transform my physical body. So I went from 105 kilograms all the way down to 75 kilograms, and never in my life had I had a fit and healthy body, and it was kind of interesting, because you can't have the same mindset as the person who was there drinking, so you obviously go through a physical transformation, but you transform your mind as well, right? And then that was a process of becoming healthy physically, and then also developing the mind. and that was throughout Australia. 6 months into that, I lost all the weight, and then ended up coming back to the UK after 5 years away from Australia. 5 years away.
Well, you were going to Vegas as well, weren't you?
Yes, sorry, of course. In between that, I flew. I was living in Vegas as well for 3 months.
How did that come about? How did that opportunity present itself?
So when we was working in the club crawls and the bars.
Or was this while you were overweight, or when you?
Yeah, this was while I was overweight.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
So while I was overweight, I was obviously partying a lot, and actually, I think my friend said to me about that, but I continued drinking through that, and then the opportunity came when my manager at the company I was working for in Australia said, they have also spots in Las Vegas. Do you want to go check it out? I was like, yeah, 100%. Like, who wouldn't want to go to Las Vegas and check out the party in there, right? So
what shenanigans did you get up to there? It's a nervous laugh.
Yeah, quite a lot. There's some interesting. I don't want to share too much, but some fucking amazing pool parties, and the after parties would get quite a bit wild out there. But yeah, Las Vegas was quite an experience, to say the least. That's the only time I've been there is to work, but I was never been there to party. But I mean, it was both, work and parties. It goes straight from the party to work, which was interesting for sure.
So you were going between Australia and Las Vegas with the same company?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you started to shed the weight.
Yes.
I've had the same experience. In your own words, just describe to people who have maybe considered, getting off booze, changing the diet, getting fit and healthy. What was your experience like? Like, when did you start noticing the benefits? You said that it affected your mind. What do you mean when you say that it affected your mind?
Okay, so the benefits, I would say, it definitely takes a few weeks for sure to start seeing real benefits. You stop alcohol, you stop drinking alcohol, but then you're for me anyway, I was in a habitual way of drinking alcohol. So whenever Wednesday or Thursday would come around, there would just be this instinction to have a beer, out of nowhere. Or like when you finish work, it's like, shall we grab a beer? It's just this hardwired into your brain and into your mind that you would need a drink. So the first couple of weeks were difficult, but I found after the second weekend of not going out, kind of broke that habit, but you lose. It was quite the process to stop drinking, because you then obviously have to work out who you're surrounding yourself with, right? So if you're around people who are drinking all the time, then there's a high likelihood you're going to continue drinking. And then when you decide to stop drinking, and the main part of your life was being the guy who's known for drinking and partying, it's like, okay, people still want you to go out partying with them, and they still want you to come out. And when you say no, some people, not everyone, but some people get offended, or they're like, I can't believe you're no fun anymore. You used to be fun. Why aren't you coming out? So in that process, there was a lot of shedding of obviously physical weight, but shedding of people around me. So I'm changing and upgrading the people I was surrounding myself with, who aligned more with my values. But the physical benefits I just felt amazing. I'd wake up in the morning, no hangovers. That was the best thing. Wake up in the morning feeling refreshed, having energy, wanting to do things as well. But the physical benefits I just felt amazing. I'd wake up in the morning, no hangovers. That was the best thing. Wake up in the morning feeling refreshed, having energy, wanting to do things as well, and then seizing the day instead of waking up going to bed at 8 or whatever it was, kind of coming home at 6 or 7 and then not being able to sleep because I was gurning for 2 hours, you know. And then finally at 11 a.m. I'm sleeping and then I don't wake up to 5. It was just like, how many days and how many times did I want to do that? And then to compare that, I can wake up early and I can be more productive, and it all come down to then finding your purpose and actually having a reason to want to get up in the morning and not to just drink it all away and forget about the night before, you know.
Yeah. So you came back to the UK, fit and healthy guy.
Yeah. So
what brought you back to the UK?
So I came back to the UK because my dad was ill at the time. He was dying from prostate cancer. So I came back to come and visit him, spend some time with him and that. And yeah, that was quite an experience in itself because I've just come from Australia. I left England quite overweight person anyway, and then got obviously bigger in Australia. Changed my physical body around, and now I'm coming back to the UK and I'm not selling club crawls anymore. Don't know what I'm doing with my life, didn't know what I wanted to do, haven't got a job. And then my mind said to me, you want to continue to be fit, you want to continue to travel, and you want to help people and have a purpose. And then and you wanted to find people who have like-minded and all want to become the best version of themselves. And then I thought the best thing for that would be to go and join the Marines. So I went to go and join the Marines. And
what happened there?
Yes, I joined them. I did all of the training. I joined. I got through all of the assessments and I joined. And I stayed there for 6 months. And yeah, that was definitely not the place for me.
What made you think that?
Why did I think that?
Yeah.
Just the way that I see, the way that they program you, you know. And that was seen even, and then I saw it when COVID hit, that it's the same way that they tried to program me in the Marines was the same way they tried to program me out here with COVID, right? So I'm literally, some of the things that they would say was like, we don't want you questioning things, you know? And like, I understand the reason why.
We don't pay you to ask questions.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm ex-army.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I understand why you don't want me to ask questions, because theoretically, if you're in a war and someone says, why should I run in there to go get blown up potentially, if it's going to save everyone else, and if they say no, it's going to affect the group. So I understand that, but yeah, from what I was seeing, it was like you're getting young people. So you're not getting the best of the best. You're getting people who are young and fit, who don't have a job, but you've kind of painted out that there's this amazing lifestyle after, you're jumping out helicopters and all of this, and actually the reality is quite the opposite, you know. So it's just, for me, it was like, yeah, that's definitely not my place, you know.
Mm-hmm. So you left the Marines, what did you do next?
Yeah, when I left, I was back to square one again, didn't know what I was doing. And I was like, okay, I'm a salesman, I know I can sell. So I applied for some jobs and I ended up getting a job as an estate agent. So now I've gone from pub crawl party man to Marine to now I'm selling houses. So now I've got a suit on and I'm really back in the box now, you know. I'm back in the matrix, if you want to put it that way, right? I've got the 9-to-5 job, even though it was more than 9 to 5, but I've got the proper job, the corporate job. I've got I'm selling like £2 million houses. I'm fucking.
You got the car?
No, I didn't actually have the car at the time, to be honest with you, but because I wasn't planning to stay there long.
Right.
I was like, I'll do this.
They didn't give you a car?
No, they didn't give me a car, unfortunately, but it was. Yeah, I wasn't planning to be there that long, but yeah, now I'm back in the system. I'm working 9 to 5. I'm back at home because it was only a brief period of time that I was planning to then leave again, like 6 months or whatever. And then COVID hit, and then I see exactly. Well, actually, COVID hit while I was in the Marines, but I saw that the same way that everything happened out here was the same way that happened in there. So I could see all the rubbish that was happening, but I was working as an estate agent, and you get sucked in because you're getting paid good money, you know, or you think you're getting paid all right money, and then you don't have to think much, you know. And something was whispering to me, this is not the right path, you know, this is not the right thing for you.
So you were living with a partner during
No, I was actually back at home with parents.
Right. Okay.
But I had a partner, but it was quite evident that we didn't have the same goals or visions in life, you know, but it was just easier. Yeah, it was just easier than being alone.
So were you still clean and sober at this point?
Yeah, so I was sober. I wasn't drinking alcohol, but in the process of changing from drugs or from like drinking and cocaine and stuff like that, I substituted it for marijuana, and then that began this this process of figuring out that substance as well. So we all have been told that it's not really too much of a problem, you know. Society tells us, they introduce these substances for us to get distracted on, you know. And I think marijuana is one of them, and I got sucked into that, you know. So now it was like smoking marijuana at night, and sometimes during the day. Wouldn't feel anywhere near productive, and then it was quite a paradox because I was still able to maintain. I changed it in my mind that I didn't need to eat anymore while I was getting high, so I could still get high but not eat loads of food.
How the fuck do you do that?
Yeah, for some reason I managed to train my mind that I could get high and not eat and still enjoy the buzz, but then I would still be not as productive, you know.
Right.
And then then being back at home, just smoking a lot, and then while I was at home, wasn't able to express myself and speak to people too much because.
Well, what brought that on? What were you feeling?
Well, it was during the pandemic, and I just had all this freedom for the last 6 or whatever years, and come back home, stuck at home during the pandemic. On a job that I don't like, actually playing a big victim mentality as well, like victim role, you know. So why is this happening to me, and all of these negative thoughts and negative feelings, and so I was not speaking to people, I was not expressing myself. I was living in the same house with my parents, I wasn't really speaking to them. I had a girlfriend and I couldn't really be myself with her. People at work, you know, like I had my views on the whole things that were happening with COVID, and then work was trying to say, you know, you can't talk about that, and you've got to wear a mask. I was like, I'm fucking wearing a mask, and none of that. And but society and everyone was trying to like suppress the voice, you know. And then I guess that was happening internally, and my lack of communication resulted in a physical manifestation in my lip. So I ended up getting a lump in my lip, which was there for like 3 or 4 months, and it wouldn't go away. But I wouldn't talk to a doctor because I was seeing what was going on in the world, and I do not trust them. So I was like, yeah, fuck this, I'm just gonna see what happens. I'll continue to smoke weed, it'll be alright, it won't it might go away.
I'll just overload my cannabinoid system and heal myself.
Yeah, and I was like, I think it'll go away for sure, and couldn't pinpoint what it was because I'd been smoking weed for 3 or 4 years previously. And then one day, high as a kite on the sofa, something pops into my mind that thoughts create illness, and I was like, where have I heard that before? YouTubed it, and I see it's Dr. Joe Dispenza. So I realised I'd read the book 2 years earlier when I was going through this physical transformation, but thought it was a bit crazy, and I thought it was all out there. And then I reread it, and I understood that it was all based in science, and everything that I had with my the lump on my lip was all because I wasn't expressing and communicating myself. So I went and did these meditations that he described. Went down to my log cabin every day for like a month, and then doing these visualizations as well of like being in a warm country on a beach, and that led to me ended up just booking a flight to Ibiza for 4 days, messaging a friend who I knew his sister lived here. I said to her, do you know any good things to do in Ibiza? And she said, what do you want to do? She gave me a list, like dances or blah blah blah, and then one of them was plant medicines. So I said, yeah, plant medicine. She put me into with a contact through here, who's a good mate of ours, and ended up meeting him and doing a mushroom ceremony. And this mushroom ceremony, yeah, altered the course of my life. So there was obviously the dream that altered the course of it the first time round, which was, I think, my soul or spirit trying to give me a push to leave the UK and get on that path.
You're talking about the dream that took you travelling?
Yeah, the dream
when
that
you
took
left
me
the
travelling.
bar.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. But then this experience with mushrooms was a massive change, because when I came round, there was a lot of things came through that I needed to communicate, and love and peace, and mainly communication. So I went and tried to tell my family and my partner at the time about my ceremony, about my mushroom experience. And obviously it's like trying to tell a blind person what the colour blue is, right? They're just not going to understand. You just sound like a crazy person. And 5 days after that, 5 days after, I think, or a week after, I quit my job as an estate agent, and I was like, I'm just going full on whatever experience I just had there.
So where did that take you?
So that took me to Central and South America. So I quit my job the 7 days after that, and then I was like 2 months later, I booked a flight to Mexico, and I flew to Cancun, and then I ended up going to Tulum, and that led me down to Guatemala, where I ended up living in a pyramid in Guatemala in a mystery school.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do, yeah. So a friend recommended me to go try out this pyramid in a lake in Guatemala, and he sent me the website of it, and on the website it said about lucid dreaming, and I was like, what's lucid dreaming? I love dreams, because I was always trying to find out this reason why I quit my job the first time round to go travelling because of a dream, and now I'm being told about there's a pyramid that's going to explain to me about dreaming, about everything that led me to leave that first time round, right? So I didn't tell anyone at the beginning that I left because of a dream, because I was thinking if I tell people I left because I had a dream, people would think you're crazy, right? And now there's this pyramid saying, no, it's actually quite a normal thing. So I was like, okay, cool, let's go there. Spent a month there. They teach you how to lucid dream. They teach you different things like the Kabbalion, the Kabbalah, astrology, numerology, all of these different things that they combine. And then the last week's like a silent week as well. So studied there for the month, which was amazing. But while I was there, we ended up doing this breathing exercise with one of the women there, and it was like a 5-day psychological detox. And she said to me, some people pass out when they do the breath work, and I thought, nah, not me. I'm strong. I'm a strong man. I will not pass out, right? Didn't think anything of it. Did these breath retentions, and then the first breath hold, held the breath full of air, and then I passed out. And I didn't know where I went, and I didn't know what happened, but it was the most amazing feeling I ever had, right? So I come back around, I looked around, and I looked at her in the face, and I was like, what happened there? And she said, she just smiled at me, and I said to her, like, do you know how many drugs I've done in my life? Do you know, I've done so many drugs and nothing felt like that. And then she just smiled at me, and she said, yeah, I know. And then I just said, where'd you find that? I want to learn all about it, because that experience felt like a sense of coming home. It felt like all of the drugs I'd done before, like every other drug that I'd been taking, was all to find this feeling and this sense of coming home. And then I was able to get that experience by just breathing, right? So yeah, that 5 days, that led me, she told me about this other pyramid in Thailand to go and check out. So I flew over to Thailand after doing some ayahuasca in Peru, and then I was there and they told me come over to Thailand. I ended up living in this other pyramid where it was all to teach you. It was about yoga, but the first month is all about breath work, so pranayama yoga, and then that 3 months living there. Well, actually, I ended up there for 9 months, but that was then to go deeper into all of the philosophy of yoga and the philosophy of the universe, and then that kind of combined all of everything that I'd been learning, I always wanted to find out, I always wanted to alter my state of consciousness, I guess, when it comes to drugs and alcohol, right? Why do we drink alcohol? It's to alter our state of mind, right? And why do we get high, or why do we get on gear? It's all to alter our sensations, our emotions, and our mindset, right? So that's when I was realizing that was only about altering my state of consciousness and trying to find out the bigger questions to life. Then all of the experience I had over the last 9 years, or 8, whatever years it was, that led me to then really realize on a personal experiential level that I've experienced all these things. So it's like when they say that the universe is energy and frequency and vibration, I've experienced that, and that all came from a case of removing the lower vibrational frequency substances, like alcohol for sure is one of the lowest vibrational substances on the planet, whenever you drink alcohol, there's a majority of people, not the majority of people, but that's where all of the violence occurs, the amount of fights I'd have in the street because of alcohol, in clubs and stuff. Whereas you don't really want to compare drugs or whatever, but when you look at medicinal plant medicines, for example, like mushrooms, you're not going to be fighting on that.
I've never seen a mushroom brawl ever.
Exactly, right? Yeah. You've never seen people brawling on mushrooms.
No, I've never seen people fighting and gurning at the same time either.
Exactly, yeah. So it's, once you remove all these substances that are causing the mind to operate at a lower frequency, like alcohol, like sugar, like junk food, and then that comes down to even more like what you're putting inside of you, like what products are you wearing, what are you consuming through your eyes, it's all a part of your being, and that's not just your physical being. And I think once, for me anyway, in my experience, once I started removing all those things, you then start to change your mind and connect on a more spiritual level.
Mm-hmm. So you how many pyramids did you go to in the end? So you're on your second pyramid.
Yeah, it's two.
Right, so after pyramid number 2, what did you do next?
Then I actually came to Ibiza to spread all of the stuff that I'd been learning and all of my experiences. And the main reason to come here was to help with a men's retreat. So Danny and my good friend Danny, who you interviewed the other day, he set up these men's retreats to help men connect to their masculinity. And he said to come over and help facilitate some breath work and help out a little bit. So come over and join. And then from then I was like, this island's just super giving, and it really felt flowing. So I decided to stay and show and offer all of the breath work, the lucid dreaming, the yoga, and all of the mindset training, everything that I've been learning to the islands,
So how does your life compare now to when you were a fat record? Sorry, I don't know.
No, that's great, bro. It's a lot different, but it's so much more rewarding to have a purpose, I know from a personal experience that without especially as a man, from speaking only from a men's experience, that without a purpose, I was more likely to turn to drugs and alcohol, because I felt like when I had a driving force and a purpose and a know where you want to go, then I think, well, Viktor Frankl says it best, that man can do any what, but they need a how, they can do any how, but as long as they've got a why, right? So when I was drinking and all of that, I didn't really have that strong purpose, Every job I was working didn't give me that satisfaction in my soul. So when I was selling pub crawls, I just felt like, this isn't helping the world. Or when I was selling houses, like, who am I really helping, and that then made me want to find this purpose, and that whole trip to do the breath work, that helped me to find the purpose, which was to help other men and to help people through this transformational process. It's not easy, but anyone can do it, because if I can do it, anyone can do it. I never thought you'd be able to get a six-pack or whatever, or to be fit and healthy. I never thought that was possible for me. So once you have that purpose, you're less likely, for me anyway, I was less likely to go back to drinking and drugs, because you know that there's more that you've got to do.
Well, unfortunately, if you look at most men, and they say that men are in crisis at the moment, I happen to agree with that statement. There's suicide accounts for most of the deaths of males under the age of 35. How do you think drugs and alcohol and purpose interact?
How do I think they interact?
Yeah, because talking from personal experience, I've used drugs and alcohol to numb a lack of direction, lack of purpose.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
so I think they interlink for sure. I think without a purpose, you just want to numb. For me anyway, the reason I was drinking and the reason I was doing drugs and the reason I was having all these bad vices was to numb the pain of not having a purpose, or to heal, or to really think deeply about any of the problems I had. So it was all just a way of forgetting about it and then thinking that you could deal with it another day,
Yeah.
But when you've got the purpose in your life and you know what that North Star is, and you just keep walking towards that way, it's like, you're less likely to want to go back to what you were doing then.
Yeah, I think when I look at the previous generation, there was a lot more families. They had kids, and if you have kids, that's a very, very strong purpose. So if you work a shit job, you go to the pub after your shit job, and you come home and see your kids, you have purpose.
Yeah.
But we don't have as many kids as we used to.
Yeah.
So maybe that ties in with it.
Yeah, that all ties in with it. Society as well, telling people that they don't really need they should focus on their jobs as well, like careers and all of that sort of stuff, and then that's creating the imbalance, and then there's lack of purpose, because when you get to the top of these things, like say when you get to the top, most people are not happy, they go, well, I've got to the top and I wanted something else. So they all interlink.
So what do you hope to achieve here on the island?
My hope, well, it's not a hope, it's going to happen, but I'm showing everyone and helping to spread the word about the breath work, the yoga, the lucid dreaming, to really help give the people the experience that I had, So the experience I had was just, I can't even describe it, and if I can just give that experience to other people, they can realise that they don't need anything that's external. They don't necessarily need to go have drugs or alcohol, but that they can create these different sensations and alter their mind and alter their brain, and bring health and vitality while doing this, just purely through breath and through their own mind, So yeah, it's that really. It's that for everyone, and combining that with the men's work that we're doing, it's just to help people through the things that I needed to know, you know. Yeah, so my transformation journey, it took 6 months for a physical transformation. So that's all that is really needed for anyone who's thinking that they can't do it or it's not for them. I thought exactly the same thing, but it took only 6 months to make a full physical transformation. Now, in total, since that physical transformation, the whole process has taken around 5 years. That's going from learning all of the information that I needed to learn, and then by doing that transformation and taking that 6 initial months out, that led me on removing the habits that stop you from finding that purpose. But once you decide and make a decision to make a change, that was the only thing. Have a strong enough desire and a strong enough decision to go, yeah, okay, I'm going to make a change and I'm going to stick with it and I'm going to see what happens. And that 6 months, once you realise at the end of it that there's all of these unlimited possibilities, that you were just a lot of them putting them in your mind to say that you can't do certain things. Once you realise that you physically can, you mentally can, and you spiritually can, and your opportunities are abundant and you can do whatever you like, then 6 months is not even going to seem like a long time. Yeah, so if anyone's thinking to make a change, I guarantee you that just take the action, you know. Your mind will say to you, start tomorrow, but that tomorrow is never going to come. And I realise that, but all it's going to take is 6 months out of your life to really change the course and the direction of where you're going. So after the 6 months, after your physical transformation, you realise that your mind's starting to change. And once your mind's starting to change and you're vibrating at a higher frequency and you're aligning with where your direction is in life, things will just start to happen. Synchronicities start to happen. You start to become more connected, and then different opportunities arise in your life, you know. Like when I was fat, overweight and smoking weed and just sitting there binging food, I didn't ever envision that I'd be living in 2 pyramids, you know, and I didn't ever envision that I'd be living in Ibiza and I'd have 6-pack and I would be out have amazing friends around me, amazing people. I never imagined any of those things would be even possible for me, but it all started with a decision to go, yeah, that's it, I'm changing, I'm making a change, and then start removing all of the things that no longer serve you. And the big part of that is alcohol and drugs, you know. You cannot out-train a bad diet, and if you're going to the pub all of the time and you're still going training, but then you're having 5, 6, 7 pints on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you're never going to see any results. So, and that's not just on a physical level, but on a mental level. It's going to lower your vibrations, and it's just going to affect you in all areas of your being. So yeah, all I'd say is anyone who's out there and wants to make a change is commit 6 months of your life and notice, see how much better you feel when you've got a body that's completely healthy and functioning well. And then once you get that feeling, you'll get addicted to that feeling of having a body that functions well, and you're feeling it on these completely different levels. So just take the action and commit, and it's possible for anyone.
So what's this lucid dreaming course that you've got going on?
Okay, yeah, so I've got an online platform coming out that's combining all of the things that I offer. So lucid dreaming, breath work, yoga. There'll be daily courses, daily sessions, daily live sessions, but also we've got courses coming out. So I've got an online lucid dreaming course, which it's going to be pre-recorded videos that you can work through yourself, and it's going to take you from completely beginner to not even knowing what a lucid dream is to by the end of the course being able to learn how the brain, how the body, how the mind works when it comes to sleep and dreaming, and how you can affect your physical waking reality that we're in now by dreaming. So we teach you how to learn to control your dreams, and that will have physical effects in your waking reality by science-backed tools, which neurogenesis and neuroplasticity, those neurons that fire and wire together, that's going to help you have effects in this reality. So the course is going to take you from day 0 till the end, when you're going to be able to realize your dream and start to control it.
Brilliant. Well, you sent me a PDF the other day, which is really interesting. If anybody wants it, they can go to lifeaftersesh.com/dreaming, and you can get a copy of the PDF there, and you'll be able to connect and move forward. So it looks like the heavens are about to open for the first time in a few months.
Yeah.
So we should get out of here. Thank you very much for taking the time out to talk about your Life After Sesh.
Thanks, brother.
Life After Sesh aims to promote safer and more mindful paths